YouTube friends, how are you? I decided to join into this Dolly Vlog Hop. It's where a bunch of people get together and they do their own videos telling their doll stories. And this is our first one today. I don't know how, I think that maybe 10 people are doing it. I'll put all the links to everyone else's channels below. And I think it's going to be once a week. And each week there'll be a different theme, a different story to tell. The Vlog Hop came together from the Mocha, Pullip, and Doll headquarters on Facebook. And I think there's maybe 10 members. I'm not 100% sure how many are making videos. But the first video, it was a simple question. What was your first doll, or what doll got you into collecting? So that's, for me, that's kind of a long story. I just turned 40, so I've been collecting a long time. I've been collecting since I was practically born. So it'll be, I guess it's kind of silly to start there, but I'm going to start my 3-year-old Snoopy. I have very vague memories of getting him from my grandfather when I was maybe 3 years old for Christmas. And I love this doll. I brought him everywhere. This was my best buddy when I was little. As you can see, he's really dirty and played with. He was a preschool doll. He came out in the mid-70s. You could tie a shoe, buckles, buttons. And then after having him for a couple years, then I got another Snoopy. Also very well played with. But I loved Snoopy when I was little. And when I got this one, my brother tried to convince me that I didn't need this one. And he's 5 years older than me. And he had me convinced for about an hour that he could have the Snoopy. So he took the Snoopy away from me. And an hour later, I was like really upset because I needed Snoopy. And that's when I first became a collector, because I had 2 Snoopies. I realized having more than one was cool. And I ended up in the next year or so buying maybe 5 Snoopies. And what was really cool in the late 70s, these Snoopies had outfits that you could buy. And I remember just being a little boy going through the catalog like this, looking for all the different outfits you could get. And, begging my mom to take me to Toys R Us so I could get the outfits. So that's, I was a kid, I was playing with them. I wasn't really collecting them. But I had that urge and desire to get them all and have a complete collection. Now, we go a few years later. I was at Asbury Park, New Jersey. I must have been, how old was I? 6 or 7? And I was playing the coin machines. I still love the coin machine. You put the coins in, the coin pushers that push the coins. And with all the coupons, I bought a Ziggy doll. Now, I love that Ziggy doll. He took over Snoopy. Snoopy was not as important anymore. Ziggy was the guy for me. And I played with him. Oh, I'd bring him backyard. I'd get muddy. I'd bring him inside, give him a bath. He was a plush doll, and I'd get him completely muddy. I'd wash him in the sink. He must be filthy. And one day I brought him over to a family friend's house, and he disappeared. I have a feeling that someone decided, he was too filthy for a little kid to have, and took him away. That's kind of my guess. 6, 7-year-old with a really filthy doll. But after that, I was devastated. That was my favorite guy. And to this day, right now, I probably have the world's largest collection of Ziggy. Ziggy is what I love. And maybe I became a Ziggy hoarder because of that moment. So I'm going to show you my next Ziggies. Not my first Ziggy. First Ziggy's missing. So it was this. I bought him. My mom took me to Toys R Us so I can get another one. I remember they had a whole big display of plush Ziggy dolls. This was 83, maybe 84. And I got him, absolutely loved. I got him another one. I misplaced the other Ziggy. He's buried in my giant collection of stuff right now. But I got him, and then a couple years later, I got this one. This is my favorite Ziggy. He's completely, when I got engaged to my wife, I gave her this Ziggy. Not ring, I gave her my favorite Ziggy. That's how important he was to me. And so it's technically her Ziggy. It's not my Ziggy anymore, but I guess I'll have to stick around with her because I love this Ziggy. He's my special little guy. So anyway, I just, growing up, when I was maybe 9, 10 years old, I had a hard time learning to read, so I started collecting comic books. Comic books became a big part of my life for from 86 to 92, 93. 6 years. So I was a big comic collector. I had thousands of comics. I had the first appearance of Wolverine. I had lots of really old Batman comics. And that was my collecting. Oh, and also when I was little, I collected coins for a while. So, but in 93, the comic industry fell apart. I got sick of all the foil covers and all the junk. Yeah, that's a long story. We don't want to hear that story. So fast forward to 98, 99, eBay's around. I had been collecting Ziggies up to that point at garage sales, but I had a box maybe of things I'd find once every 3 or 4 months. And Ziggy wasn't easy to find, but the eBay came around, and I was kind of lonely and depressed. I was like, I'm gonna look. I love Ziggy. I'm gonna look online. I'm gonna see what they have. I went to a message board. I was like, does anyone know where you can find some Ziggy stuff? It's so hard to find. And someone was like, check out this place called eBay. So I went there, and I was like, whoa! The angels came out because there's literally hundreds of listings, not just one listing, 2 listings. I'd go months looking at thrift stores looking for Ziggy items. I couldn't find them, and then boom, hundreds of items. It was crazy to me, and everything I wanted stuff I missed out that I saw in the store and they couldn't buy a couple months later I looked for it was gone. So I went crazy, and I bought a whole pile of Ziggies, and then I met my wife and we moved in together, and she bought me our first Christmas. She bought me like a whole pile of Ziggies on the tree, and before you know it, I was hooked. I was collecting Ziggy. And now I have 10 or 15,000 Ziggy items. I have just a massive Ziggy collection. But so anyway, fast forward to the mid-2000s, and I was, we were trying to open this store. And it's a building that's been my wife's family for 80 years, a long time. And her father said, you know what, you can put a store on the first floor. So we're like, okay, so we started working on the store. We didn't realize how expensive it was going to be, how much red tape there was going to be. Oh, such a headache. And by end of 2006 into 2007, we were just broke, out of money. And my wife's like, you can't buy Ziggies anymore because we had no money. So I was like, I was really depressed, and I had to stop collecting. And that's, for any collector know, when you're forced to stop collecting, it's rough. And so what happened was I started playing Second Life in 2007. And Second Life, if you don't know, it's like a virtual reality where you go in, you can do whatever you want. I started with a female avatar, just because I always play female characters when I play video games. And I soon learned that there was like a whole fashion industry in this game, and I've always kind of liked fashion. I studied it a little bit in college. I went to college for business, but I always enjoyed fashion. And before you know it, I was designing clothing in the Second Life, and I did this for a couple of years, and this was so much fun. And I was subscribed to Vogue. I was reading fashion magazines. I got really into it. And then by about 2009, 2010, we finally finished the store. It took years. It took like 3 years to finish. We got the store. We got through all the red tape for all the permits and everything. We got our store open. So I finally, I left Second Life. It was a lot of stress, and that's another big long story. But afterwards, I still had that kind of interest in fashion and all that. And so by the time we opened our store, 6 months, 7 months later, I was craving to collect. I started collecting Ziggy again. But I was like, I kind of like this fashion thing. So I was like, I want to collect fashion dolls. Now, back in the early 2000s, I would always go to Toys R Us with my wife, and we would look around at all the toys. I love toys. I would look around, and I would go into the Barbie area sometimes, and I would see some of the dolls that were coming out then were cool. They weren't the stuff I remember from the 80s. The 80s stuff was kind of bland to me. It was pink Barbies, boring. But this stuff was kind of, it was the era of when Bratz started and My Scene, so everything was more like party clothes or everyday street clothes, and just something a little more interesting to me. So I thought they were really cool, but I was like, I'm not gonna buy dolls. I'm a dude. I'm not buying dolls. And then we would go to FAO Schwartz, and they had the most fantastic fashion doll section. They had the Robert Toner dolls, and they would have Madame Alexander, and they would have these big setups of all the dolls, and it was so much fun to go there. And I was always thinking, I kind of want one, but they're $100. I'm not gonna buy one. And years passed by. So finally, in 2010, when I started thinking I'll go collect fashion dolls, I started looking. I would just go to Flickr and I'd type, doll collection, fashion dolls, and I'd see pictures of Bratz. I'm like, that's not exactly what I'm looking for. I remember there was one set that was really cool. It was like a lounge. I was like, I really want that, and I later figured out it was My Scene dolls, so I started collecting My Scene a little bit. Or I was thinking about, I hadn't bought anything yet. I was trying to decide what I wanted to buy. So I was thinking about buying the My Scene because I figured out that lounge I wanted. I hadn't started, but I was thinking, I was looking at the lounge, I wasn't sure. I actually couldn't figure out what I wanted. And then one day, boom, in someone's collection, it was like a bunch of Bratz dolls, and then there's this one big head doll. I was like, what is that? That's amazing. I thought it was just the most beautiful doll I've ever seen. And I was like, I gotta figure out what this is. And it took me about 2 days to figure out. I found out it was a Pullip doll. I was like, I'm gonna get one of those. And it was a Zhao fan. It was this girl right there. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna get this. And for like a month and a half, 2 months, I looked on eBay. It was like 130, 120. And then one day, one popped up for $80. I asked my wife, like, I know I haven't really been collecting much. Can I buy this? She said, okay, you can get the one doll. So I bought her, and I got her. So that's my first doll story. Right here. Well, that's the start of the first. I got to the first doll. Let me get her out here. Now, for me, she's just absolutely beautiful. Let's see if I can get her zoomed in. Her face up is great. I love the green eyes, the purple hair. Everything about her is perfect. And she's still, I mean, I have hundreds of Pullip dolls now. She's still my favorite. So anyway, if I continue the story a little bit longer than that, after I got her, absolutely loved having her. Like a month or two later, I convinced my wife that I start getting one a month. I was like, can I get one a month? So I think I got Shanria next, and then I got, who did I get? Shanria, and then I think I got Kayla, and then I got, Adelicia, I think that's her name. And, after about 4 or 5 months of that, I realized I wanted them all. It's like Pokemon right now. It's like, I gotta catch them all. And, there's no way I could afford there was hundreds of dolls out. They were, $100 each. Oops, we'll put it right back there. So I was like, I have the new store. Let me contact Groove. And so we contacted Groove, and we started selling them a little bit in our store, a little bit on eBay, a little bit on our website, and just a little bit everywhere we could. And I'd buy 10, keep one, sell 9, make a little bit of profit, and I'd rinse and repeat. And before you know it, I had hundreds of them. And so that's our first Dolly Vlog Hop. This was fun. Can't wait to the next subject. I hope you guys enjoy this. Please, if you like this video, please thumbs up. If you like my channel, please subscribe. And please, in the description below, I'm going to link to all the other channels that are going to be doing videos. I think it'll be a lot of fun hearing everyone else's stories, maybe seeing a little bit of their collections. And goodbye. It was fun. Oh, and if you want, think later today, I'm just going to do, this is like a third of my collection of Pullip dolls, and everything else is buried away in boxes and whatnot. So I think I'll do a tour of this cabinet so you can kind of see what I have. And that'll be fun. I'll post that in the next day or two. Okay, bye.